Right, I want to that's happened about 1,000 times. I will just quickly mention that I've had to put up with time to an itchy whatever, or time to get in where it's being hit down basically, certain areas of the body, by about 1,000 loud bites today. It's been for about 20 weeks and more, persistent every single day, 700 to 1,000 loud bites, hitting it down. So yeah, not exactly very happy, but that's not what this audio recording is about. This audio recording is about talking about why everyone's a single mother. Right, on dating sites in the UK, that is, taking away the scammers, or what is suspected scammers, we've got two problems. One, they won't allow an age gap more than 8 years at the maximum, which is not helpful at 44 coming up 45. The other problem is by the age of 23, when it comes to people in the UK, I don't know about other countries, but in the UK, everyone's a single parent. There is nobody at all above the age of 23 that isn't a single parent. So that's put you in a situation where it's jeopardised you getting anyone. So when you go on these dating sites to look for someone in overseas, most are scammers. So I've messaged about 6,000 people since November 2025. It's now April 2026, coming towards the end of April in fact. And all I've had is 80 to 100 people who are all scammers asking for cards or money or things that require payment for kids' top-up cards. So these people out there, these ladies got you down as a sick so-and-so. Basically, I had it all last year when I was walking about. I was looking at a 36-year-old and I was told I was a sick piece of dirt, saying I'm a sad and I'm a weirdo and that it's paedophilia attraction or something like that, or paedophile attraction. If you look at someone at the age of 36, well, maybe we need to explain why is everyone a single mother when they're a teenager. So they're basically saying that if I don't go with anyone over the age of 40, I'm known as a sick, weird, whatever, using the strongest term language they can find. So basically, if that's the case, that means everybody in the world that's had sex with someone under the age of 40 is a paedophile, if you work it on the principle of that. So why is everyone a single mother under the age of 23? So we need to look at that as well, because obviously I've not had anyone in my whole life, because I've not been able to, because nobody's ever liked me, or they're too stupid. They were even stupid back in the 90s, but today is beyond belief. They allowed the age gap back in the 90s because there were people the age of 16, 15 coming at 16, going with people in their 40s, sometimes hitting the 50 boundaries. But obviously today, that's not allowed. It's legal, but it's not seen as appropriate. The other thing I want to mention is, if we go to China, Japan or the Philippines, up until 2023, the age of consent in the Philippines is only 12. 13 in Japan and 14 in China. Now obviously they've upped it to 16 to 18 in those countries now, and most other countries in the world, in a matter of a 3 to 4 year period. So every country in the world is around 16 up. I think there's only just one country or two countries where it's 15 and that's it. Otherwise the whole world has been up to the age it is in the UK. The problem we have there is, because of the age consent before 2023, a lot of these people have been like single mothers since the age of 14. So if you're trying to find someone from an Asian country or some other country, we've got that problem as well, because the age of consent was lower, and because it's only 3 years ago that they upped the age of consent in those countries, it's basically buggered it up for finding someone that's not a single mother, basically. The problem is, these men out there can't hold their feelings in for very young women, and it fucks it up for people that haven't had anyone in their whole life. Goes back to what I was saying like just now. I'm told that I'm a sick so-and-so if I don't go with people over the age of 40, in some ways to lose virginity. Well, if that's the case, why has everybody else lost virginity under the age of 40? That makes everyone in the world a sick so-and-so, to say the least, if I'm being told that I'm sad if I don't go with someone over the age of 40 for first ever relationship in my whole life. And I mean, they're getting serious and they were getting nasty about it, especially if we're going to 2025 in the late summer period, and on places, on dating sites here and there. However, I will give it that it is only people in the UK that are doing this. They're a bit more politer if they've got a problem with the age gap in foreign countries, but the UK is very nasty for it. And parts of Europe as well, there's the occasional who speak British language who has a bit of an attitude towards the issue as well. But it's anywhere else in the world seems to be more flexible, or takes into consideration situations or circumstances of whatever the situation is. So even 2 weeks ago, or was it last week, I can't remember, it's either last week or the week before, I'm not religious, but I decided to go to the Gateway Church just to socialise, to see if there's anyone to make friendship with, to see if there's anyone single. And I saw a lady, a medium-built lady, aged somewhere between 18 and 21, in a relationship with a bloke that looks around about the age of 50. So it still happens in the UK, but you're looking at about one in about 5 million, something like that, whatever the figure is, because that doesn't usually happen in this day and age. Not in the UK. Obviously in America and other countries the restriction is not as tight as in the UK, but people in the UK are very stern people, very dry and sarcastic, and very serious, and have a very serious accent, and serious about life more than most other countries. And you've got more in the way of people like taking their cocaine and drugs and whatever else in the UK as well. So yeah. So out of the whole 44 years I've been alive, the youngest person, the oldest person, that I've known that is not a single mother goes back to the 1990s, and that person was 27. Taking that one person away from the year 2000 onwards, the oldest person that I've known that is not a single mother is 23. Otherwise anybody above that age of 23 are a single mother. Everyone on dating is the same problem, and it makes it very difficult because of the age I am. And obviously, like people have said in the past, not so much in recent times, they have told me that considering you've never been with anyone before and had a very unfortunate life, then yeah, you should be entitled to someone that's not a single parent, by all means. And were quite fair about telling me about these situations, but the problem is, this day and age, the attitude's different. They tell you to get a blown up doll, or take medication to help with the issue, or tell you to go for therapy, or tell you that you're basically you're going to have to accept that you're not going to get anyone. That's their attitude. So if you've been abused and never had anyone in your whole life, that's their answer today. There's nothing you can do about it. And obviously when it comes to people like prostitutes or anything else, before the lockdown, the average price For one of those really ugly types is around about 30 quid an hour. Most people over the age of 40 don't charge any more than 60 quid an hour. If it's a beauty, or what is known as so hot, or whatever you want to call it, which is sort of the age of under 25, which everyone have been with and made single mothers, by the way, as I just mentioned, you're looking at anything from 300 quid to £1,400 per hour, depending on the person, up until the lockdown, that is. Right, if we go past the lockdown, the average price for a prostitute, safe sex, you're looking at anything from £3,000 to £4,000 an hour. If you want proper hardcore, raw sex, then you're looking at £6,000 to £10,000+ per hour. And then you can't guarantee the service is going to be that great. But obviously we're in a different time, and things are different. But if you go back, say, well, I wasn't really looking at this sort of stuff back in 2005, but I was aware, and I know all this sort of, you know, the issues of costs and all the rest of it. Back in those days, a prostitute would go with any age. Today, they got that age restriction against you with no more than 5 to 8 years at a maximum. And also with some, there's a problem with the colour of the skin. So if you're white and they're Asian, or they're black, or a different race, that causes a problem as well. So things are a lot different today. I don't know why it's like this, or whether the media has changed people's minds, or the smartphone network, or the music industry, but something's causing everyone to turn out in this small-minded, brainless way, and don't take into account situations or circumstances. So if you're on a dating site or something like that, or you see someone in person, you're treated like everyone else. So you're treated as if you're treated as a father when you're not a father. You're treated as having sex many times before when you haven't had sex. You're treated as that you've been brutal to your missus or whatever when you haven't, because you never had a missus and haven't been, you know, or whatever. You're treated the same as everybody else, and obviously if you've been abused and never had anyone, you know, as a child, basically you have to accept the rules slammed in your face regardless, and things like that are not taken into consideration because you're told you're a liar. Or if you mention it, that is, I haven't really sort of mentioned it, but so the best way to relay what's going on is they will treat you as anybody else regardless of the situation. You're treated as one, like everyone else, and if they don't like you, that's it. And in most cases, in modern times, you can't socialise either, just friendship. You'll get given a piece of paper if someone thinks that you fancy them or whatever, and saying they don't want friendship with you, and there's no way that they would go in a relationship. And you can speak to someone for, say, 2 years, get to know them, and then after that 2 years, or nearly 2 years, once you speak to them, you might ask them, do you want to go for a coffee or go back to your place, or are you single, or stuff like that. They'll just suddenly turn against you and won't want to know you ever again. We've had that many times before. You can go to bars, you might get a chat going with a couple of guys, in a bar, but it's very mostly the older generation will do it, people over the age of 40, 50. The younger, say, under the age of 40, 35, will not have any interaction, they keep to their own groups. If you go to a place to socialise, like I say, there's only like 1 in 10 million people over the age of 23 that's good looking and not a single mother, or basic looking and not a single mother, because quite literally all of the people out there are single mothers, or if they're not single, well, I say single mothers, but they're mothers basically, or who are married with tough guys. Yeah, so and this is why certain music's going under as well, because a lot of these people that are into the rave scene, like the underground techno of the early 90s or the underground jungle, whatever, as soon as they find a missus, as soon as they get in a relationship and have kids, that music they don't listen to anymore. They just go with the pop music that their kids listen to, and they just move on in life into the mainstream. And this is why the jungle scene and the techno scene's gone under, because there's not enough people that like it anymore to keep the underground scene going. But it's not just that, it's because there's been new laws that have been being enforced in the underground scene to close it down by governmental instructions, regulations, music laws and all that sort of stuff, copyright, the costs and so on. So you've got that to think about as well. But because there's not enough people to support the scene, and because it's always been the same. So soon, if someone's single, you've got like for example, a tramp, or someone who's a druggie that hasn't really been in a relationship before, then they might still be into this sort of stuff. But 99.9% of people that have had sexual relationships with a sexual woman, and made them pregnant or whatever, they change. And also with the music, people don't stick in the same area. They don't listen just to the old school stuff. So if there are people that still listen to this type of music, as soon as they get in a relationship, get a girlfriend and make babies, they move on to the modern music. They go forward with it. They don't stay in one place. And a lot of the people that have the lower lives, or the people that are sort of more into the dreamy stuff, or like to have that sort of spiritual feel, or that deepness, or that quality sound of the original way it was set out back in the early 90s. And the very few that stuck with the scene only like the jump up drum and bass and neurofunk and the modern stuff. None of them like the jungle stuff. However, they are being very sneaky, because at the moment they're bringing all the jungle stuff back into the nightclubs, but it's not this type of jungle. It's got the same breaks and the same bass lines or whatever, so that's what pisses me off, because obviously I don't like people listening to my type of music who are sexual people when I've never had anyone. So that has really pissed me off. But the good thing is it's not the tracks that I've been into that are being played there, because they don't play that sort of music, because all my stuff is restricted. So that's good. But unfortunately there are tracks that are made in a similar way from time to time, which are being played at these types of parties, and I'm not very happy about it, because obviously it's a violation, especially when you look at the grounds of sexuality and these types of people that go to these clubs that have given me shit all my life. So, but going back to the issue of single mothers, there's a Motherland Axe. So basically there's a world where you've been axed because everyone's a single mother. So that's the term you use. It's quite an old term now, back to the 90s, something like that. One of the gangster type of terms, maybe. Yeah, so it's very, very difficult, because the other thing you've got to look at as well is most of these people, they're in relationships well before the age of consent. I remember when I was at school, as young as about 10 or 11, they got boyfriends and girlfriends, and they're actually doing it before legal age. And then obviously, once they reach legal age, they're in relationships. But going back to the 1990s, they were making everyone pregnant at the age of 15. And when they were 16, when it's legal age, the baby could be born, basically, so they were doing that. There's a slight age, by about maybe 1 or 2 years, where they hold it out, some people, until, and do them at say 17, and then they become pregnant at 18, sort of thing. Yeah, with these dating sites, you'll find those that are allowing more than 20 years age gap are mostly scammers. Most of the genuine people on these dating sites don't even reply. The whole lot of them are like scammers. There's a couple from America that seem more realistic, but one of them that I was speaking to, one in particular, should I say, she was a real person. I told her to write my name on a piece of paper and hold it up, showing her face, just to confirm, and some documentation to confirm her name. But the problem is, it turns out she's a real genuine person, but she's already got someone. She's a single mother, and she just wanted the money to scam people online that are using dating sites. And one person says on dating sites told me that you have to socialise, but you can't socialise because, throughout my whole life, I've only known 7 single people that are not single parents. Right through my whole life, up until July 2025. And that includes school days. But those 7 people didn't like me. And one of them was the type that liked the really rough type. And obviously, actually, one of those people from back in the day is not only a single mother, but even her daughter is a single mother. And she's aged, I think, the same age as myself, 44. But a lot of these have turned out to look like mingers now, so it's too late, even if they weren't single mothers. But what's happened is enemies took them away from me back in the past, or they were threatening me with, or they were going in gangs or whatever, or you had the risk of having a glass bottle smashed, or a weapon or whatever, so you couldn't exactly socialise, and people were like in the happy hardcore crowds, because they were playing happy hardcore music back in the days, and popping the pill, ecstasy, while going to happy hardcore raves, and always like wearing white clothing and white New York baseball caps. So it was like that with sports clothes. So yeah, very difficult indeed. So I don't know what else to say really. There's something I was going to say that popped out of my head. Yeah. Anyway, you've got the basics, so yeah, it's extremely difficult, because when it comes to mentally ill or the mentally disabled, you go on those dating sites. I was on them about 15 years ago. The only people that were single were fellas. All the disabled, good looking or basic looking mentally ill people weren't on these dating sites. And the couple that were single mothers. So it's not just when it comes to the normal community, but the mentally ill community as well. So that's another thing that's been going on. And as I was saying, like just now, they're in relationships at the age of 10 and 11, and once that takes place, by the age of 15 they were single mothers, going back to the 1990s. Today it's the same issue, but they might not make them pregnant until 17 rather than 15, but it is the same problem. However, you do see people out there that seem to be younger, and I have seen people below the age of sexual consent in the UK that are single mothers as well in the UK. In fact, just 2 days ago, when I saw about 400 people pushing a pushchair under the age of 20 around Yeovil and the other 2 places that I visited. That'd be the average amount. Whether I saw the same person twice, I don't know, but that's the amount that I saw when it came to people under the age of 20, and there was a further 200 to 250 pushchairs passing me in my direction of people under the age of 24. And as far as anyone over that age is concerned, I haven't seen anyone pushing a pushchair, not on that specific day. I have, but these are people that are already single mothers, just having extra children, which they don't need. I mean, the world's overpopulated as it is, and the innocent don't even get a say. And if you go on these like dating sites or these apps or Facebook or whatever, when it comes to these sexual looking types of women, the younger type, the amount of likes that people are getting, or the love likes or whatever, or the care likes or whatever, is literally about 16,000 on one picture. And when it comes to someone that looks like Lisa, who's an old school friend that I used to know at my old school that I don't take to, who's what I call the negative type, they only be about a couple of hundred likes on the same sort of page as those 16,000 likes of the other picture that I was mentioning. So I think that just says it all, doesn't it? And obviously these models that go on there that claim to be sort of single or just pissing about on those pictures or videos that people are not really interested in, they're all single mothers. So we all go back, so if we go back to the question that I was mentioning earlier, on quite a few occasions I was looking at ladies who told me their age. One said she was 36 and one said she was 37, going back to the summer of last year. Just for looking at them as I passed, I was known as a sick so-and-so, telling me that I should be looking at people that are older, and saying that, getting really nasty about it, really tempered about it. And I've had it with people on dating as well, but the highest person that's moaned about my age is 36 on dating, 39 in the public, and 36 on dating, and telling me I'm sad if I look at anyone at the age of 39. So it goes back to that question: what age were you when you first had sex or lost virginity? Because if it's under 40, that makes you very sad. So that means if everyone in the world's had sex under the age of 40, or made someone a single mother under the age of 40, that makes them a real sick, dangerous person, because that's what I'm being told, because I'm over the age of 40 and I've not had anyone yet. But anyway, I'll leave it there. Leave comments, and just before I go, I can tell you now I'm not going to get anyone. Earlier today I made a documentary to say that there are audio tracks or commercial tracks or music tracks from the past revealing future information by some form of maybe psychic reading or seance operations, or some form of noetic science technology of knowing in advance many years that the elite use, or the empire, or whatever it is. They are claiming I'm going to get someone up to the age of 45. That's not going to happen. There's no one at all that I know. In this day and age, it's going to take at least 1 year to get a connection and friendship going to start with, because people's minds are different than what they used to be. In actual fact, I'm not very adaptable to these types of people, because it's like a small-minded accent. But if you go back, say 20-25 years ago, people could get in a relationship within a few days or a couple of days, and in some cases someone goes to a nightclub or a bar, they could get someone the same night. It doesn't work like that anymore. There has to be a slow progress. And the other problem you got goes back to what I was saying earlier about people being in relationships while they're still at school. Means that everyone is taken before they leave school and become an adult. So the scarcity is you've got no choice but to go with a second-hand person. And obviously at my age, you literally got to go with people older and uglier and people that sexually abused me as a child, basically. There's nothing you can do about it. So this is how it works nowadays. You've got no choice in the matter. And my previous life wasn't very good either, according to a past life psychic reading, which I had 20 years ago. So I was a lady in my last life, and I was quite a beautiful lady according to this psychic reader. So basically I was sexually abused time and time again, repeatedly as a child. I never managed to find a partner in my last life, and I never managed to get sex. And obviously I died tragically when I was in my early 20s, but the way she made it sound was either some accidental thing or by murder. It could be, but she didn't really say, but that's the sort of impression I got. And then obviously I was born in this life to have the same happen again, and then obviously if I'm born in my next life I've got to face the same consequences again. This is why it would make sense and why I wanted something in this life, but obviously people held me back. People have told me it's because I don't socialise or interact. Maybe it's because of autism or whatever else. But the problem is, in the days when I did try and interact, it ended up with glasses being thrown around the bar, chairs and tables and people kicking off, and it's also ended up in the windows being smashed in one specific bar because people don't like me. So it's very difficult to socialise. All this started to calm down a little bit around the year of 2015, making it a bit more safer and easier to socialise, but there were still incidents. So you had this was with family, so I went into the bar next to Tesco Superstore at Highbridge. We had like a meal or drink or whatever it was in there. I was causing no problems. People were having a go at me in the background. Obviously I was just ignoring it. I was also being mistaken as Savan and Liam, who are two other people's names. A couple of weeks later, the bar was on fire. So whether that's connected, I do not know, but there's been a lot of trouble where people have caused so much trouble over the years that it's come back with some negative consequences. And people that weren't single mothers, if we go back, further back, say back till, say again, sort of 20 years ago, 21 years ago, my enemies were saying that they were making her a single mother, or they messed it up making these people single mothers. However, there was one specific enemy that said, you'll have to wait until my daughter grows up and you'll have to go with her because they fucked it up for you, and they didn't realise that everyone was making up shit. But unfortunately that person's forgotten about me. I don't even know the daughter, and the daughter's actually a single mother in a relationship today. So, you know, this enemy that was starting on me was a few years older than me, not by much, and this was outside my old place in Bridgewater in the earliest days when I moved there, 2005 or 2006. And again, another thing that someone else said is a bit more of a mixed-up side. It wasn't all one-sided back then like it is today. This one-sided issue started in 2013, 2014, where everyone is against you and one-sided. But now these years are past, they've basically buggered my life up, and there's nothing you can do about it. So when they make the suggestion in music tracks saying there's 2 years left, you're going to be with someone when you're 45, so 1 year left now until I'm 45, but I did hear one of these tracks going back about a year ago nearly, so it does make sense. When they came out I do not know, and there's also stuff from the past. But the problem is, although these tracks have been set years in advance before it happens, they've fallen through. I can tell you that I'm not going to be with anyone for the rest of my life. I'm not going to get anyone. There's not anybody that's good looking in my age group. They're all grubby. They all got the facial appearance of what looks like dry sick off the floor, or like if you look at a stone or a rock, the dryness of the stone or a rock is that sort of appearance in my age group. Or you got like the appearance of like chickenpox or shingles across the skin. I wouldn't say as bad as smallpox, but that's the appearance in my age group. And when it comes to men hold out their looks a bit older. Some can hold it out to about 60, 70, and they still got that nice sort of clean appearance, but you know, that's the type that's left, because all the others are single mothers and they're married, and they don't split up or get divorced until they go into grubby attraction. So, welcome to Motherland Axe. I'll leave it there.